When I was doing it, I found myself really entering this flow state where I just felt almost like meditative in the repetition of going back and forth, weaving a piece of cane through hundreds and hundreds of times and seeing how an entire chair can be built from just that kind of repetitive motion with a really small piece of material. Kind of scratched that itch of what I wanted to do with using my hands and kind of building something and making sure that furniture can have another life is extremely fulfilling. Point by Point Studios is located in Cal Heights here in Long Beach. We are a tiny home-based furniture repair shop, and we specialize in the repair and restoration of cane, wicker, rattan, and other woven furniture. So my wife Christina and I, we started Point by Point Studio last November, so about 5 months ago, but we started this work just about a year ago now. Before I started Point by Point Studio, I actually had left my prior job last February. I was working at a local nonprofit here in Long Beach, and I just left because of just corporate burnout and working all throughout the COVID pandemic. It had just taken a toll on my mental health, and I needed to take a break and slow down. I really had this urge to sort of go back to what gave me joy as a child, which was using my hands, creating things, building things. And with a lot of time on my hands, I decided I want to give it a shot. And so I bought an old broken cane chair. Took about 35 hours over a week or so, but I ended up caning my first chair. So that kind of started the entire journey, towards what Point by Point Studio is now. I've loved jigsaw puzzles as a kid. I was always really into kind of any art that was sort of pattern-based. And so I think that inclination for patterns really helps me understand how to do this on more than one piece. It requires a ton of fine motor skills. Because you're weaving a piece of cane that's, a couple millimeters wide. And it also requires just a lot of mental focus. Each piece is its own piece. It has its own history, it has its own sort of wear and tear, and there's not going to be a book that is going to tell you how to repair each different piece of furniture. Christina and I did a lot of research and found that in the Southern California area, there aren't really furniture shops that specialize just in the repair of cane and woven furniture. There are other shops that are similar to ours around the US. A lot of them are in the Southeast or in Appalachia, and we saw an opportunity to kind of create that niche here. So chair caning, as I understand it, in the Americas really started in the mid to late 1800s, and it was really centered in North Carolina, Virginia, Tennessee, because that's where all the hickory and ash and maple, all this wood was where it was. And then, it has sort of waxed and waned in popularity over time, but it's always been pretty popular. You see a lot of wicker in Victorian furniture and sort of the boho chic design style. You see a lot of wicker and rattan furniture. So now that I sort of have a trained eye for woven furniture, you really see it everywhere you look. And Christina and I don't look like the other people who do this work. Not only being the only Black-owned, shop in the U.S., but, our peers are all twice our age. We take pride in the fact that we can preserve this craft and really root it in this idea of restoration and repair and preserve it for a younger generation, because There are not a lot of young people doing this work today. Just being present with your creativity in an analog way is extremely fulfilling. If I had, imagined my life a year ago now, I would be really proud of where I am right now. I'm really proud of this business that my wife and I built from the ground up. It's really rooted in a lot of the values and things that I wanted to ground my life around, which are care and resourcefulness, and this idea of bringing back furniture is sort of rooted in that, is that concept of care, is rooted in this concept of home, which is something that's really foundational and important to me, to be able to work from home, to be able to fill people's homes with their furniture that has a lot of sentimental value for them. I think back to the time where I was in this room for 11 hours a day, staring at a screen for 10 of those hours nonstop, and it just feels like a past life now. So it's everything I could have hoped for.